Hi, it's Gretchen again. There's a final thing I'd like to talk to you about, which is what does it look like to onboard with the collective and to really create your professional profile page? So, if you look at the sample page we have on the website, it may or may not feel kind of intimidating, like, oh my gosh, I don't have all that collateral written. And this is where the onboarding session or sessions, depending on where you're at and what you need, are so important because basically you and I are going to sit down for an hour or two. Could be in two parts, that's fine. But we're really going to look at where are you at in your career? What are your goals? What are your needs? Because that's really foundational to how you write a profile. And this is one thing that makes the collective really different is that if you think about places where you can get a membership, typically you create a login, you pay your money, and you get a link to a portal where you just stuff in information. And nobody is giving you feedback on whether this information is going to resonate with other people. Nobody is going to tell you, oh, the way you've positioned yourself is really designed to meet your goals. And so I think this is really, really important. And then one of the things that I've learned, and I think it's because I'm a coach, is in talking to people, I just seem to pull out people's superpowers. And so, to give you a quick example, years ago, I worked for a nonprofit called Fair Chance, and it's kind of a mouthful. Fair Chance works to help small, high potential, youth serving nonprofits in the inner city of Washington, D.C. grow to scale. So I was working with Paul from Resources for Inner City Kids, and Paul is a retired math teacher. And his organization provides tutoring for kids that are very, very behind in middle school math. So some of them are 3 and 4 years behind. And what makes him different from so many places that provide tutoring for kids is, he doesn't use mommy tutors or church lady tutors. He only uses professional tutors, mostly active or retired math teachers. So they really, really know what they're doing. And they're able to bring kids from as much as 3 and 4 grade levels behind to grade level, sometimes in as little as a month. I mean, it's miraculous. So I'm learning about Paul and his organization so I can help him with some board development and, creating a more stable revenue stream and applying for grants and doing grant templates. And he starts telling me about how yeah, on Wednesdays I go to this particular charter school and I just sit in the teacher's lounge all day and I bring a sandwich and, he's just kind of writing it off as like his thing that he does on Wednesday. And I'm like, wait a minute, tell me more about that. Well, as we got into this, Paul had an entirely separate sort of column or portfolio of services called teacher mentoring. And in Paul's world, it was hanging out at the teacher's lounge, eating sandwiches and talking to teachers. But from the lens I saw it, it's like, oh my gosh, you have a whole separate program area that you can fund because there's such a huge literature about the value of teacher mentoring. And not only that, he already had metrics. He already had metrics. So in his chart, this particular charter school, their teacher retention rate for math, middle school math teachers in inner city DC, which is typically very, very low, his were like 25% of what a typical school would have. So him sitting eating sandwiches in the teacher's lounge every week translated into really, really solid teacher retention. So I'm guessing, and I could give a bunch of other examples like that, that talking to you, we're going to find more of your superpowers, and those are going to get translated into your educational philosophy, your leadership philosophy. Maybe that doesn't apply, but I'm guessing that most of the people in the collective would also be well qualified to do leadership coaching with leaders in education. So this is a back and forth process, but I will write your profile copy for you. You, of course, have the last say, but I have a client who sends me everything. He's actually applying for asylum, so there are a lot of steps to that. And he's like, okay, I need this. He has this word Gretchenized. And even his asylum attorney is like, who do you have editing your stuff? That's really good. So that makes me happy because I worry about him getting deported. But the point is, there's this process which I really have a hard time explaining called Gretchenization. And it just kind of makes things work a little bit better. Also, in the context of talking, we're almost certainly going to hit on strategic recommendations. So there may be things that you haven't thought about specific to you. Maybe you're thinking about retirement, or you're getting ready to leave the profession, or you're getting ready to apply for a superintendency. And I can almost guarantee, based on, 10 years of conversations with other people in your shoes, that I'm probably going to come up with a recommendation, which doesn't mean you have to follow it, but I'm kind of good at that. And also in doing this, I'm going to guess that this also influences how you present yourself on LinkedIn, in conference bios, in RFPs. I was just talking to someone who said to me, can I just send you all these bios because I feel like they're all really bad. I'm like, well, I doubt they're all really bad because, he's doing great work, but Gretchenization tends to be kind of effective. So, what does your profile consist of, your professional profile? So, rather than just throwing a bunch of stuff up to fill in boxes, we're going to work through to create together to create a thoughtful, meticulous professional presence that's done for you. And part of the reason it's important that it's thoughtful and meticulous is that for some of you, you may own your domain name that we redirect to this page, and this serves as your profile. This serves as your website page. Right. So there are obvious things, contact information, LinkedIn information, your bio, but it's going to be optimized to help you get found on Google. And this is part of the value of being a collective. If you just put up your own website and you have your one bio page and it's optimized, that's nice. Now imagine being part of a website where there are 25 people just like you, all with unique constellations of skill sets, and you all have optimized bios. And there's an optimized blog, and there are optimized web pages, and there's a YouTube channel, right? All of a sudden, all of that starts to build, depending on what you do and how active you are in things, a dynamic news section. So there are some people that are really active in doing workshops or speaking in conferences, or they've done a lot of podcasts, right? So there can be like your latest news. This is where, if you watch the technology video, there's going to be a link and an integration with Acuity so that people can directly schedule time with you. So that's connected to your calendar, and you put in your own hours. So if you're like, I can't work Monday 8 to 4 or 8 to 5 because I'm, actually a principal, then you can block those hours off. Or if you don't want to work on Sundays, or you don't work after 9 p.m., all of that can be blocked off so that this respects your time. Educational and leadership philosophy. When you look at other websites, they're mostly like name, bio, publications. It's very milquetoast. And so I really feel like in working through some of these, and you may have other things that you want. You may want an equity statement. I don't know. We'll invent that as we go along. But I really find that that helps you to stand out. And some of this, I had a client years ago who was leaving her job. It's a long story, but she was applying to be the headmaster of a private school, a very, very prestigious private school. And they asked for all this collateral. Well, what's your teaching philosophy? What's your education philosophy? What's your leadership philosophy? And we actually spent a lot of time talking about that. And then I took copious notes, and all of those notes got turned into these philosophies for her. And danged if she didn't get the job. And the thing that the selection committee told her was what really struck us was your teaching philosophy, your education philosophy. And so I've just come to believe that these can be really, really essential in showcasing you and setting you aside. There are how many tens of thousands of principals in the US? How many superintendents? How many district staff? So how do you distinguish yourself and set yourself aside? And I think this is one of the ways that really spotlights you. Areas of practice and research, if you're more a practice than a research, we can balance that out. Speaking topics. Some people are actively doing workshops all the time, particularly if they're in the district. But this can be things that you want to do where you want to get speaking engagements. And I have to say for myself, they're the things I've actually done. And the things, I'm actually launching several things. So I haven't done these things yet, but they are out there. They have very well designed curricula. They have teaching and learning points. And so even though it's the first time I'm doing it, I'm very comfortable saying this is my speaking topic because it's all laid out. And I'm guessing, like me, you have a really good sense of what you can and can't do. You're not going to claim to be able to do something that you can't. The other thing that your profile is going to have, which a lot of these other websites and places you can sign up for memberships don't have, is download your CV, right? So someone doesn't have to email you, oh, Fred, can you send me your CV? It's right there. And when someone downloads your CV, it captures their email address so that you know who's been downloading your CV. It's kind of like that thing of paid version of LinkedIn. Like people have watched you, but unless you pay for the paid version of LinkedIn, you don't know who those people are. So this is a way for you to know that, to track that. And, so someone downloads your CV and there's a way that you get an email that's like, hey, Fred, did you know that so-and-so just downloaded your email? So you can follow up and say, hey, just noticed you downloaded my CV. Wonder if you want to set up a time to talk. And that can also be automated so that, depending on how much you want to manage your data, someone can download your CV and have a couple of automated follow-ups that say, hey, so glad, here's a white paper that Fred did. Hey, do you want to schedule a conversation with Fred? So you're not having to do that initial relationship cultivation. You can, or you can opt out. Ditto for white papers. And anyone that's written a dissertation, holy smokes, you have a good 3 to 4 white papers easily. And then, of course, a list of your presentations and publications, and that's just kind of profile 101. So one of the questions that people I've talked to so far have said is like, how hard is this going to be? Like, is this going to be really hard? The answer to that is ideally no. You say yes, you sign up. We launched the collective on August 15th, and I get to work scheduling these calls. I ask you for some basic information that I review before we call. Maybe I draft some stuff, and we do an onboarding call. And I ask you a lot of questions, and I do a lot of listening. And then I go back and I write this stuff up and I send it to you until the point at which, and that's why maybe there's more than one session, um, you approve your page. And at the end of the day, that's for you to approve. So just because I think something's a good idea, I'm not you. I'm not doing your work. So these will be respectful suggestions, and I tend to see people in like their bright, shiny light self. So I may see you in ways and you're like, wait, is that really me? It may trigger some imposter syndrome, which I've struggled with myself. But if you're comfortable with it, then yeah, let's put it on out there. And then moving forward, if news happens, like, I'm sort of intuitive, but I'm not really psychic. So, if you send me news, we'll get that onto your webpage. We'll get it into the LinkedIn flow. If you watch the LinkedIn video, I talk about how we do that and then engage with the community, right? So it really is pretty that much that simple. And at the end of the day, you know, what is it? Attention, energy follows attention. So if you're really putting intention into this and you decide, yeah, I want this to be more than sort of a basic level participation, and you really participate, you're going to get more results. But the goal, and as Chris and I have talked, is really that everybody has a sense of community. There's proactive reaching out to people, to include people, ways for you to get to know the other members of the community, which is partly why we're capping this at 25, at least initially, because we feel like, let's say we had 50 people show up. It's really hard to get to know 50 people all at once. But 25, that's a manageable number that over 2 or 3 months and some group events and looking at the website, we can really get to know each other. So, as always, imagine what becomes possible when you pursue your work in the context of community. So the easiest way, there is a bit.ly for the Practice Partners Collective website. The easiest way is actually go to the Scholars Coach, which is the business academic writing business I've run for more than a decade. And there's a tab now there that says the collective. I'm always available to schedule a conversation with you. There's information on the website as well for Chris. He is going on a long vacation. And so I'm pinch hitting during that time. That's the power of teamwork. If you're interested, you can download a member perspective, which really just lays everything out. And if you're at a point of going, oh, this sounds really good, you can sign a founding member commitment pledge, which reserves your space in case we have more than 20, 25 people by August 14th. And of course, please invite your colleagues. There are a lot of people that Chris knows, people that I know. And if you know us and you like us and respect us and we like and respect you, chances are those people that you know that we don't are also going to be a good fit. So thanks again for listening. I hope that you'll watch the other videos and seriously consider joining us in what we're building. Thanks so much.